Hi, I'm Leigh-Chantelle from VivaLaVegan.net, and today I'm here with Holly Noll and we're in Seattle, and we're going to have a chat to her today about her raw cake business and a few other things. How are you, Holly?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thank you. And you run a raw business, cakes, what's it called?
I run veganshortcake.com, and I basically focus on specialty desserts around people's specific alternative diets, people who are trying to cut things out of their diet, people who are trying to get healthier or trying to beat diseases like cancer. So I work on mainly desserts, but I also do healthy snacks and generally whatever request comes up in the
Desserts. Is there a favourite one? Is there a most popular one that people like or that they request more than the others? That lemon one was great last night.
Yeah,
at Rebecca's exhibition.
Yeah, the zero glycemic index raw lemon cake has definitely been the hit recently. Yeah. And the fresh berries around summer definitely becomes like really, really popular.
And it's summer here in Seattle at the moment, so cherries are really big.
Yeah, cherries are really, really in right now, and we're about to have tons of berries that are going to come in as soon as we get the sun out.
Cool. And what can you make with cherries? What's one of your favourite things to make with cherries?
Well, last night at Rebecca's art exhibit, I made raw and pretty much zero glycemic index cheesecake bites with a cacao nib crust that was really, really fantastic with the dark chocolate and the cherries.
Yes, that was very good. And what was the other one? The
lemon blueberry with the macadamia almond crust. Yeah, those are super fantastic, super bright.
Yeah, they were great. And that was for our friend Rebecca Bolte. She's a Seattle photographer here as well, and she had an exhibition at a gym called X Gym. And yeah, we were both there, and you provided some of the food, and another Seattle-based company provided food as well. And we both got into a bit of a discussion with a guy who breeds pigs, owns pigs, and we were both trying to get him, one, to see that we didn't want to consume his pig back fat. Salted pig fat. Yeah. And two, that we, disagreed with where he was coming from. But he was trying, I think he was trying to get some sort of knowledge, maybe with the vegan lifestyle, but he didn't seem to want to listen at other times. And Holly and I were both trying to give some examples of why the vegan diet is good and healthy. And you were talking about anthropology as well. You were giving him some examples because you've studied that before. Do you want to give a bit of a brief description of anthropology in relation to the vegan diet? Or?
Yeah, well, basically his argument was that people throughout the ages, basically ancient people, only ate meat subsidized with plants in there sometimes. And my argument, which I think is much better research than his and much more true, is that it takes more energy and more calories to go out and hunt and do these things. So large game that he was arguing was mainly their diet, buffalo, antelope, giraffes, whatever, takes a lot more calories to hunt down. And mainly what they were eating is roots and seeds and nuts and plant-based things. Because you can sort of walk around in your native environment, get to know those roots, and they are much easier to harvest. And so basically those large game are just ritualistic. And the other calories that have a tendency to be animal related, he started referencing eggs and milk, which really didn't come into play until agriculture got involved and domesticated animals got involved. So mainly the meat that was actually in their diet was like small rodents, which seems really unappealing to most people that argue the meat-based diet. So most of the research that I've done was actually upwards of like 80 or 90% plant-based diet in ancient people, except in the Arctic, where they eat mainly.
And where was he speaking of? He was speaking of particular areas, wasn't he? Like where you were from, like Florida, was it?
Oh, he was referencing the Ohlone people because they had a lot of fish in their diet. But I feel like that's not really relevant to nowadays because of the absolute depletion of fish populations. And I feel like people who are going to argue that we should eat mainly fish should probably focus on, creating environments where fish would actually be possible to eat.
Definitely. And so that's just one example of some people that we get to talk to that don't seem that receptive of the vegan diet. And yeah, I was trying to spruik his product, I guess, really, wasn't he? But
yeah, he was saying that he grew the best pigs, that his pigs had the highest fat content and tasted the best.
Which I still don't get. And you were saying that, you know, in America people like the more fat or the more salt or the more sugar the better, which I guess in any sort of country nowadays. And yeah, that was his whole you know, promotional aspect of that, was that it had all this fat, so it was great, so people liked it, which I still can't get my head around how that would be a good thing, especially because we were at a gym, a healthy sort of gym, where they weren't even into all that sort of stuff. So it was a bit bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely really strange for him to bring in fat.
Yeah.
And all the rest of the food that was being served there was actually fat burning food.
Yeah, it was.
It was actually
too, yeah.
PJ was actually, the owner of the gym, was saying how cool it is that you can eat food that actually helps your body process fat into muscle and helps you work out better. And then we had this salted pork back fat.
Which is quite amusing. I've never met someone promoting that before, so it's always a first.
Yeah.
And what other things with your business, with your raw stuff, what are you trying to achieve with it? Are you going to have an established meals, like there's 4 options that people can use, or will you work with other people with whatever they want, or where is it at the moment?
I really enjoy doing personalized cooking. I think that healthy food has to do with each person's health, and so I think that it's really crucial to discuss that. But there's generalized health food that's better for you always. So I really want to focus on community and networking, and I'd like to focus my particular business on teaching as well. I'd like to start doing tours where I can teach and do secret suppers and talk to people individually in their own like regional area about their food, and then focus on how they can be healthy and support their local communities as well. I'm also designing protein bars that I'm hoping to start getting people into, and I really like the idea of getting people the knowledge that you can eat raw, zero glycemic or close to zero glycemic, soy-free, gluten-free, vegan, and still get tons of protein and really, really full, because you're eating nuts and cacao butter and all these things that are really, really filling, have a lot of fiber in them. I like the idea of promoting a protein bar, because that's what everybody says when you reference veganism, like, how do you get your protein? And you're like, wow, you know, this is
plants.
This is a great place to sort of promote that idea that you can get tons of protein and not have to involve yourself in all the unhealthy stuff.
And so how did you first get involved with the health aspects of veganism and the food aspects?
Well, I've been a chef my whole life. My dad's a chef, and I really grew up in that traditional, like, lots of fat, lots of sugar environment, and I got really kind of addicted to the tastes and everything being really decadent and really full, and being from Sonoma County, they've got that cheese, olive bread, wine thing going on.
Okay.
That's where, like, California wines are from.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got really into that, but then I went vegan, and...
Why did you go vegan?
I went vegetarian a really long time ago, because I stopped being able to look at meat and think, this is not an animal. I started looking at meat and I'd see an animal, and then I just automatically, I just couldn't do it anymore. So it was a really long time ago. That was a really young teenager. And then I was sort of anti-vegan for a little while, because I didn't want to be the token vegan in my tiny little town. So I decided that I would go vegan when I read this zine on feminism and veganism, and how, like, pretty much everybody involved in the dairy industry being exploited, eggs, milk, they're primarily female. That's who's creating these products. And so all of a sudden I just made the connection between my feminist struggle in my own, like, life and the struggle of other women of other species, and I couldn't handle it anymore. I closed the zine and I was vegan after that.
Cool. A lot of people don't get that connection, do they?
No, I don't think that they do, but there are people who are recently bringing it up. Like, I know that punk band Punch has a song called Feminists Don't Have a Cow, and it's about, you know, how milk and the dairy industry is related to feminist struggle.
Cool. And so when you became vegan, you started doing more vegan cooking than before? Or?
Yeah, well, I was in a really small town. We didn't have Whole Foods in our town at that time. And
which is, just to mention, Whole Foods is like a big grocery store that has a heap of vegan options for people in America.
Yeah, so we didn't have it at that time, so I started sort of like creating like just vegetable-based stuff and eating a lot of bread, which was pretty unhealthy. And I sort of gained a little bit of weight and realized that I was unhappy with this. I'm gonna eat vegetables with like some store-bought sauce thing, and it was just like not really appealing taste-wise. But also I was gaining a lot of weight from eating so many carbohydrates, and so I just started like slowly but surely snowballing into this, looking into health-conscious things, and then I decided as a chef, after working at this awful steakhouse, I decided that I would no longer work at any place that served meat.
Yeah.
And going through jobs, I started working at a place called Cafe Gratitude, which is a raw vegan place in Berkeley, California. They introduced me to the raw aspect of things, and I worked as the line chef there for a long time on savory, and got really into hanging out with my friend who was the vegan pastry chef, the raw vegan pastry chef. And because my dad's a pastry chef, I just was like interested in it. So I'd go and I'd look at what she was doing, and she sort of started teaching me things, and one thing led to another, and I got transferred to that section, and it clicked. Sometimes you just do things and they click, and that was what clicked with me. And all of a sudden, because I was really interested in this art form, this medium for food, I started to look into, what am I working with? What is going to create better health for people if they're going to be getting into raw because they want to eat healthier but still get this decadent, beautiful flavors? What is that actually doing for you?
Yeah, exactly. And with like, you've got the Iron Chefs, you've got Master Chefs, things like that. We've got in Australia, we've got so many of these cooking shows where people are just, using animals, animal products, animal secretions. So it's great to actually use your skills and in a more cruelty-free aspect in a vegan way.
Absolutely.
To get many people that really, are craving that sort of thing nowadays.
Like decadent flavors and things. I think that's really, really popular when it comes to vegan food, especially when it comes to trying to convince people to become vegan. Because they can care a lot about the animals, but they need like a catalyst, something to push them over the edge. And I feel like when you feed people things that are not only healthy and vegan, but they're also really good tasting, and they make you feel full, and they make you feel like you want to go on a run or something. And they've been used to eating these burgers and things that, you feel full, but you feel bogged down, you want to sleep or something afterwards. And all of a sudden they're like, I'm eating this cheesecake, but I feel great about it. And I think that's super rewarding. Of course people are going to really want those really intense flavors. Everybody wants things to taste
good. So if you have a look at veganshortcake.com, you can see more of Holly's creations and keep up to date with the things that she'll be doing in the future, including a cooking show.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be great. And for more interviews and more information, see vivalavegan.net.